What's up, YouTube? PokePrimer here, primer to deliver you our draft analysis for the Duncan Knee Deep Subscriber Draft Tournament 2. That is right, this is the second one of these. You saw the draft analysis for the last one, but unfortunately, due to computer troubles and just not having a lot of time to do so, I was not able to upload any of my matches from the last one. I actually made top 16 last time. I lost to the person who ended up being the runner-up. So that's a pretty solid accomplishment, if I do say so myself. But this time there are prizes involved, and I sure as hell don't want to miss out on those. Will not say what those are. I'm not sure if that's allowed to be revealed. But it's a big deal. I've been a subscriber to Duncan on Twitch for a little while now. So I've been, these tournaments have been a lot of fun to do, and I'm really hoping that that I can do well this time around, do as good as I did last time, if not better, preferably better. I do want to win. I'm really going to strive to win, and I think the team that I have assembled here is extremely solid. I think that there's a very good chance that we can pull out the W with this squad, and so let's just hope that it works out that way. Without further ado, let us get into the team. So I wanted to build the most diverse and most useful team I possibly could. One that could do pretty much anything, and that can, really stand out as being, something that people are going to have trouble prepping for, because they can go in so many different ways, and there's so many different threats that they have to deal with. They have to bring specific things, forcing certain prep. That's kind of the goal with this team, and I think I will go very well, starting off a draft with the most diverse Pokemon in the format, being Chibi the Mew. Everyone knows what Mew does. It is diverse in the fact that it can learn pretty much any move in the game. If it's a move tutor move, if it is a TM, anything along those lines. If it has ever been a TM at some point in the time of Pokemon, it can be learned by Mew, and Mew can learn anything. You can transfer Mews from any generation, teach it whatever move you want to get it transferred up, and it's just that good of a Pokemon. And there's no other words to describe it but that. It's just that damn good. So I can literally build Mew in whatever way I see fit for a certain week, and I might not even bring it some weeks, because what Mew does is force opponents to prep specific ways. You have to try to figure out what kind of Mew set might work best against your team, then try to prep for that, but also try to have contingency plans to handle Mew. You have to focus on getting offensive things that can kill Mew. It's a very difficult mon to take on in League format, so I'm hoping that people struggle prepping for our team because of the simple fact that we have Mew on it. So that is our first pick. That was the way we started this draft off. I felt that that was a good place to start with. Next up, because we were able to get one of each tier, a tier 1 through 5, and I think we had 360 free points or some shit like that to build the rest of our squad, or something like that. I don't remember. I don't remember what tiers everything was in. I'm not going to look it up right now. I just don't feel like doing so. Sorry. But, since we grabbed a tier 1, I was not going to be grabbing any tier 1s for the rest of the draft, so I completely stopped looking there. If it was possible, then I would have had to grab a lot more tier 5s, and I think I would just kind of go for more bang for my buck kind of situation, which I did end up doing. I went for a tier 2 Mega, and that tier 2 Mega is probably one of the best, in my opinion, in Draft League, because it is the best rapid spinner, in my opinion, in the game of Pokemon, and that is Nick Cannon's the Mega Blastoise. You guys remember how good Mega Blastoise was for us in other leagues that we've been in. You've seen us use Mega Blastoise in the past. I have had great success using this Mon, so I'm really looking forward to using it here. Its stats are so fantastic. It's so bulky across the board, and with that crazy base 135 special attack stat, mixed with its Mega Launcher ability, it is going to be severely hurting anything that it hits with any moves. It is going to punch holes through teams. And a 78 speed stat, like, people don't understand. In certain matchups, like, you can easily speed invest into Mega Blastoise and make it outspeed certain things, and it's honestly not that bad, because its natural bulk still allows it to tank the hits you need it to, while it also being able to outspeed certain things and pick them off, which is really, really great. So, Nick Cannon, the Blastoise, little Nick here is gonna come out here and put in a lot of work for us in this tournament. The next Mon I picked up, I wanted to grab my 2 cores. I wanted my Fairy Dragon Steel, I wanted my Firewater Grass, and I do actually end up getting both cores, which is really, really great. I'm really happy about that. In a draft like this, it's kind of hard to grab a lot of the things you want, because the way it's set up is there's 40 people in the tournament, and we were split into drafting groups of 10 apiece. So you're drafting amongst 10 people and seeing, what you can do. So it's interesting the way they do it, and I decided to grab my Fairy type next because I wanted to make sure that I can get a really decent one before a lot of them started to drop off the radar, and I think I got one of the better ones, at least offensively. One that I've been really, really dying to use, and that is Love Me, the Mimikyu. I have actually been putting it in all caps with exclamation points, 3 exclamation points specifically. Mimikyu is a very interesting Pokemon for a lot of reasons. One, it hits decently hard on the physical side. Base 90 attack is nothing to laugh at. It's got overall decent defenses. 80 and 105 is not bad at all. Its speed stat being at 96 is really, really crucial for taking on certain Mons that hit that 95 speed tier, allowing it to outspeed those and being able to pick them off very, very easily, which is really, really cool. I do love that. But the thing that I love most about Mimikyu is its disguise ability, being able to basically take a free attack without taking any damage. That is huge, in my opinion, because this Mon can then get a free turn of setup. This Mon gets it can, eliminate opposing setup. It can do a lot of different things with that free turn. It can go for a Z move and nuke whatever's in front of it. It can do a lot of different things, and I think that this is going to be a very, very crucial member to our team. I'm really, really looking forward to using Mimikyu throughout the course of this tournament. Mimikyu's really, really fun to use, really, really splashable on a lot of teams, and hopefully it will work out that way for us here. Next up, I decided to grab my Fire type, and I want something a bit bulkier that I can use as a bulkier Mon if I need it to. But at the same time, I wanted something that could still hit really, really hard. Something that can still do ridiculous amounts of damage without really having to worry too much about... without having to invest too much sometimes if I need more bulk and stuff like that. Something that I can use to really break through walls while also being able to take a hit itself. I decided to grab Man, Bear, Pig, the Emboar. Now, Emboar is amazing because it's 123 attack plus reckless ability allows this thing to be a nuke. There are not a lot of things that want to switch into an Emboar using a move that has recoil, because this thing will just tear through it. Whatever Mon it is, it does not matter. Emboar breaks it into like that. It's really, really strong. It is damn near impossible to switch into Emboar. Emboar is one of those Mons that you just have to accept that you're sacking something to, and that's just the bottom line. because Embor said so. I almost want to call it Stone Cold, but I'm not gonna. What else is really cool about it, though, too, is it's 110 HP stat, allows it to have a lot of natural bulk that allows it to eat some really, really decent hits, and its 100 special attack stat actually allows you to definitely run something, run a special move if you need it for the matchup. If one is necessary, you can justifiably fit a special move onto its moveset to allow yourself the best possible chance of winning. So, Embor, provides us some solid wall breaking for our team with its natural bulk, and I'm really, really, really happy that we were able to scoop it up. Actually, I don't even remember if I got sniped. I don't think I got sniped much, if at all, until like the very end of the draft. If at all, like I don't even think I got sniped in this draft. I got sniped the first time. Like we had a first attempt at this, but then it got scrapped for some reason, and we restarted it, and then we have this new one going, but still, it's pretty cool. I don't think I got sniped this time, which is great. So we have our next mon coming, and that's going to be our grass type, but we also need an electric type, faster electric type. So we're gonna grab ourselves Rotom Mow, Indicut the Rotom Mow, and this thing's pretty dope. All the Rotom forms are great because of their defenses. The 107 on both defense and special defense, they can bulk a lot of hits. And what's great about the Rotom forms as well, not only do they have defog in this generation, but they have access to a lot of other supporting moves, with Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, things like that. It can provide Volt Switch for momentum. It can be offensive, defensive, whatever you need Rotom to do. Rotom can do very, very well in most matchups. Rotom is another very splashable mon. It takes a very decent, or I guess a very severely poor matchup for Rotom to be immediately shut down as not coming. Like it's kind of hard to justify not bringing Rotom some weeks, just because it's good. It's just that good. Plus Levitate, having a ground immunity on our team is not a bad thing. We don't have too big of a ground weakness. We have 2 mons weak to ground. Granted, it's kind of hard to have a really big, overwhelming weakness on a team where you're drafting fucking, 9 mons? It's kind of hard to have a crazy, overwhelming weakness, but still, it's something you should pay attention to. But Rotom just provides us a lot of different roles on our team. It takes defog pressure away from Mew, so we have 2 defoggers at this point and 1 rapid spinner, so we have our hazard removal is pretty solid. However, our hazard setting is just on Mew, and that's something that we'll have to take care of eventually. But for now, we'll get into other things, and those other things consist of getting our dragon type. Now, at this point in the draft, I'm kind of looking around and I'm trying to find myself my best possible dragon, and I'm looking down in the mid tiers, and I'm like, wait a minute, this thing's a gem. I've used him so many times, and he's so good. We picked up Vastia, the Kyurem. Vastia based on, I believe his name's Leon Vastia. I haven't watched Fairy Tail in a while. He's like a secondary character. But he was Gray's rival. But I'm going to call him Vastia based upon him. And this monster is insane. Its bulk is very, very solid with its 125 HP and 90 in both defenses. I've seen physically defensive Kyurem. I've seen defensive Kyurem builds. It is very scary to deal with. I've also seen this thing nuke mons left and right with its base 130 attack and special attack stats. This thing is absolutely devastating. Its pressure ability is really, really useful in the long run if a game is starting to get a little too long. Those abilities are going to be or the opposing mon's moves are going to be running out real quick, which is really, really useful in the long run of a matchup because of the simple fact of potentially causing things to struggle, kill themselves, which is always fun to do. I do enjoy watching people struggle. But Kyurem is a fantastic Pokemon. Really, really strong Dragon type, and something that I'm really, really happy to have on the team. Lastly, we need to complete our Fairy Dragon Steel with our Steel type, and I was able to pick up one of the bulkiest Steels in the game of Pokemon, being Reggie Steel, Dr. Giro, the Reggie Steel. I don't know why I started calling it Dr. Giro. I don't remember what came over me to call it that the one day, but you know what? It's stuck, and Dr. Giro is here. Clear Body is really, really useful. Can't lower our stats, can't fuck with us, so if I want to try to be a setup variant, well, bitch, I'm about to be a setup variant on your face. 150 in both defenses makes this thing a crazy strong wall. This is another Stealth Rocker, so that it takes that pressure immediately off of Mew. Mew does not have to bring rocks every time I bring it, for every matchup. This thing has plenty of setup opportunities, setup options that it can go with. A lot of support moves. It gets access to things like counter. Then if I build it right, I can make use of that. Overall, this thing's just a really, really solid wall to build the team around. We had a very offensive Fairy Dragon Steel core up to this point, so we needed something that was more tanky, that can really sit in front of a lot of mons and just laugh at them, which is what we're going for here. So I'm very, very pleased that we have Registeel here with us in this matchup. So I'm really happy to have Registeel on the team. I'm sure it'll do a lot of work. Now, up to this point, I got all my cores. I got Mew. I got pretty much everything I needed. And now it's time to have a little bit of extra fun. Get some things I might not normally use, but I want to toy around with, because this is a new thing. This is a fresh new tournament. It's time to try some new things. First thing I'm gonna grab, I'm making a bit of a hip hop, rap reference here. A little Bad and Bougie, Raindrop, Drop Top, the Masquerain here. Intimidate is a fantastic ability. In the fact that lowering opponents' attack stats is always useful. It allows this thing to actually be kind of bulky and live hits that it should not live, with certain HP and defensive investments if I decide to go with that. So that's very, very useful. Its other ability, Unnerve, can be kind of useful if I really think that my opponent is going to bring a specific berry to stop a certain typing of move from damaging it. I can just bring an Unnerve Masquerain and fuck it up. Hey, crazy. This thing gets access to Quiver Dance, and with its base 80 speed stat, Quiver Dance is a very, very potent threat. Another reason I got this mon is because it is another defogger, which is very, very helpful. Obviously, I had to be very careful about bringing it in, because it is 4 times weak to rocks. It's good for defogging things like Toxic Spikes and Spikes away from the field, though. It's really, really good for doing that, as well as opposing Sticky Webs if an opponent ever brings Sticky Webs against us. Speaking of Sticky Webs, this thing is a Sticky Web setter as well. So we have access to webs now on our team, which immediately, if you look back at some of the mons we have, things like Emboar, Mimikyu, Kyurem, Mega Blastoise, think about all of them, and think about them under Sticky Webs. Now think of how scary that actually becomes, because in all honesty, there are not a lot of things that want to deal with some of our offensive threats when Sticky Webs are up on the field. Sticky Webs, if I can use them properly and keep them up, can legitimately just fuck up most teams that I go up against, and it would be really, really great. So I'm really happy that we have a Sticky Web setter, and I think Masquerain is one of the better ones right now, and probably the most slept on one. So I'm hyped to see how it goes. The last mon we are going to pick up, I wanted to have something else to do cleric things, because so far we've taken off as much pressure from you as possible, so that it has more freedom to do what it needs to do. We have an extra defogger in Rotom to take away its defog pressure. We have extra rocker in Dr. Giro to take off the hazard setting options. So now, what I wanted to do is get a cleric to take away the cleric option from Mew. Something else that can be a cleric, so Mew doesn't have to, and so that our team can be a little bit more balanced. And that Mon turns out to be a normal type, turns out to be a little bit chunky, and turns out to have the Regenerator ability, which is really, really nice. And that is Teletubby the Audino. 103 HP plus 86 in both of its defenses makes this thing a massive threat to a lot of opponents. It's a very, very hard Mon to break through. If you don't have a strong enough fighting type, this thing is just going to easily come in, eat your hit up, and be able to throw up wishes and fire off heal bells and whatnot to keep my team healthy. It also gets access to knockoff and bunch of other supporting moves outside of those cleric moves to punish the opposing team and hopefully put us in the best possible position to win each game that we bring it to. So that's pretty cool. Now, in this tournament, however, you do get to draft a 10th thing, and that 10th thing is your Z Crystal. You don't get to just choose Z-Mons that are just overall across the team, just universal, can use any Z Crystal. That's not how this league works. This league, you draft a Z Crystal, and then any Mon on your team obviously can use it. I wanted to... Some people were trying to question why I didn't draft Psychium Z, because certain exclusive Z moves that weren't banned, if the exclusive Z move wasn't banned, if you draft like the base, like the typing of that Z move, say for example Mew's Genesis Supernova, if I draft Psychium, I can then use Genesis Supernova with Mew, or if I drafted Farium, I could have used Let's Snuggle Forever with Mimikyu. So it was an option. It was definitely an option, and I really thought about it, but I wanted something that I could use across the majority of my team. So if I drafted Farium, the only Mons that could really benefit from Farium Z would be Audino and Mimikyu and Mew. The only ones that can actually use that. If I grab Psychium Z, the only ones benefiting are Mew. I would never actually use Psychium Z with Mimikyu because it's the most offensive psychic move is actually Psychic. Emboar gets Zen Headbutt, so Emboar was an option. I think Kyurem gets Psychic. Yeah, it does. Kyurem could have used Shattered Psyche. Would never really use it on Registeel. Can't use it with Masquerain, and I can maybe use it on Psychic with Audino. But in the long run, I just didn't think that made our team more as diverse as it could be. So I actually decided to go with Ghostium Z. Ghostium Z overall has the most usage on our team. The Z, outside of drafting Normalium, Ghostium Z provides us with the most usage upon our team. I think it can overall be very, very useful. Audino gets Shadow Ball, so it gets Ghost moves, which is cool. Masquerain, Ghost moves. There you go. Ominous Wind, HP Ghost, or Ominous Wind, Shadow Ball gets Ghost moves. Registeel gets Shadow Claw. Which is cool. Vastia gets Shadow Ball and Shadow Claw, so it can be either one. Rotom gets Hex, gets Shadow Ball, gets Astonish. Things like Confuse Ray, Ominous Wind, Spite. I don't know what Z-Spite does, but I can look into it. Manbear Pig, unfortunately, does not get any... It gets Curse. Z-Curse. I don't know what Z-Curse does, but we'll see. Mimikyu, obviously, is going to be the biggest user of this because it does get stabbed from Ghostium Z. So if I can get an SD up and fire off a Ghost DMZ, as long as they don't put a normal type in front of me, as long as I don't put a normal or dark type in front of me, something is dying to a +2 Ghost DMZ from Mimikyu. Almost every single time. I be willing to assure it, like, things will just die to Ghost DMZ when fired off by Mimikyu. And then also Mew, obviously. Y'all know Mew can use himself some Ghost DMZ as well. So I felt like Ghost DMZ was just overall our best option for a Z Crystal for our team. So hopefully that doesn't bite us in the ass. Hopefully, you know, I think that decision will end up working well for us. If it doesn't, then, you know, I tried. But I think that overall makes the most sense to me. Let me know what you guys think of the squad. I will be combining the team builders and battles for each matchup throughout the league, but I am going to live commentate the matches, so I'm warning you guys now, the videos will be long. I will probably try to leave timestamps in the description to get you past the team builder if you just don't really care enough to watch it, or if you just want to skip through it, that's fine. I wouldn't blame you. I've done it before with other YouTubers. I might as well give you guys the option as well. But let me know what you think of the team. Let me know if you think that there's anything that we should have done better, should have drafted differently. Just what you guys think in general. And hope you guys are hyped for this tournament. I am extremely hyped for it. I can't wait to share with you guys the battles. The first thing we are going to be doing with this is we are put into divisions of 5, where we battle every person in the division one time. And we battle every person in the division once, and then the top 2 move on to the final bracket. So fingers crossed that we can pull out the necessary W's we need to make it into the final bracket. As long as we make it into the top 16, that's the part that really matters. What happens in the divisions, that is an entirely different story. Because once we make it into the bracket, it's randomized anyway. So like our placement overall, I don't think matters in the broad scheme of things. So, but with that, I'm gonna get out of here though. I've been rambling a little bit. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, I am PokePrimer signing off. Peace.